New amnesty bill. Will it really pass this time? The U.S. is once again grappling with a heated debate over immigration reform as a new amnesty-style bill gains attention. But with a deeply divided Congress and rising political tensions, the key question remains: can this proposal actually become law? If you're interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through to the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. Today, we're diving into a hot topic in U.S. politics: immigration reform and the possibility of a new amnesty bill becoming law. Immigration is a complex issue that sparks a lot of debate, and recently, there's been buzz about new legislative proposals. But what are these bills, and do they have a real shot at passing? Stick around as we break it down with facts, context, and some credible sources to help you understand what's going on. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. What is the amnesty bill we're talking about? First, let's clarify what we mean by amnesty bill. In the context of U.S. immigration, amnesty refers to policies that would allow undocumented immigrants to gain legal status or protection from deportation, often with conditions like fines, background checks, or a waiting period. The term gets thrown around a lot, but it's not always accurate for every proposal. In 2025, one bill that's been making waves is the Dignity Act, reintroduced by Representative Maria Elvira Salazar and supported by some Republicans and Democrats. This bill aims to provide legal status for certain long-term undocumented immigrants without offering a direct path to citizenship. It also includes provisions for border security and asylum reform, like requiring asylum cases to be processed at the border. But some critics, like those of the Federalist, argue it's essentially amnesty by another name, pointing to its potential to legalize millions. On the flip side, supporters say it's a practical solution that balances enforcement with compassion. Other recent amnesty proposals. Now, the Dignity Act isn't the only proposal out there. In 2024, the Biden administration introduced a program called Parole in Place, which aimed to grant legal status to over 1 million undocumented immigrants, particularly those married to U.S. citizens. However, this was met with pushback. For example, Texas Governor Greg Abbott called it blatantly illegal, arguing it bypassed Congress's authority. The Texas Public Policy Foundation also criticized it as overstepping executive power. On the other hand, bills like the End Unaccountable Amnesty Act, H.R. 696, and the Visa Integrity Preservation Act have been introduced by Republicans to limit such programs. These bills aim to restrict temporary protected status and parole programs, requiring congressional approval for certain immigration protections. Can these bills actually become law? Let's get to the big question. Can an amnesty bill actually pass in 2025? To answer this, we need to look at the political landscape. First, Congress is deeply divided. The House and Senate often struggle to agree on immigration reform because it's such a polarizing issue. For example, Brookings noted that a bipartisan Senate bill in 2024 collapsed after Republican leaders, influenced by President Trump, refused to support it. With Trump's influence still strong and his administration emphasizing mass deportations, as seen in the big, beautiful bill he signed, any bill perceived as amnesty faces an uphill battle. Second, public opinion is mixed. Polls cited by the Federalist show strong support for deportations, with 55 to 64% of Americans favoring stricter enforcement in some surveys. But there's also support for legal pathways, especially for long-term residents or dreamers. This split makes it tough for lawmakers to find common ground. Third, the legislative process is brutal. A bill needs a majority in the House, 60 votes in the Senate to overcome a filibuster, and the president's signature. Right now, with a Republican-leaning Congress and Trump's veto power, a bill like the Dignity Act would need significant bipartisan support to pass. Critics on Reddit have even called it a political stunt, doubting it could clear these hurdles. What's next for immigration reform? History shows it's tough to pass major changes. The last big amnesty was in 1986 under President Reagan, which legalized nearly 3 million people but was criticized for weak enforcement. Since then, attempts in 2006, 2007, and 2013 failed. Right now, the focus seems to be on enforcement, with bills like the Lake and Riley Act gaining bipartisan support in 2025, according to FAIR. But advocates for legalization, like Representative Zoe Lofgren and others behind the Renewing Immigration Provisions Act, argue for updating the registry to help millions. With such polarized views, compromise is tricky. That's the breakdown on whether a new amnesty bill could become law. It's a complex issue with strong arguments on both sides, and the outcome depends on politics, public opinion, and legislative grit. What do you think? Should Congress prioritize legalization, enforcement, or something between? Drop your thoughts below, and let's keep the conversation respectful and productive. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves diving into policy debates. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.
Your amnesty bill, will it really pass this time? In 2025, US immigration reform is again at the forefront, with intense debate surrounding new legislative efforts, particularly the Dignity Act, reintroduced by Representative Maria Lura Salazar. This bill proposes legal status but not direct citizenship for long-term undocumented immigrants, while extending border security and asylum procedures. Critics label it amnesty is a disuse, while supporters call it a balanced solution. Other notable proposals include parole in a place, backed by the Biden administration, to legalize over 1 million undocumented spouses of EU citizens, though it faced strong Republican opposition. Conversely, GOP-backed bills like the End Unaccountable Amnesty Act and the Visa Integrity Preservation Act aim to limit executive powers and restrict immigration protection. Despite these efforts, passing such reforms remain challenging due to political gridlock, Trump-era influence, divided public opinion, and strict legislative hurdles. Historical failures since Reagan's 1986 amnesty further underline the difficulty, while enforcement-focused bills are gaining momentum. Legalization measures face a steep uphill battle in today's polarized climate.